Welcome to SBCU. We're going to talk about the all-around performance road bike, the Tarmac. This bike does it all fast. We're going to talk about how this bike climbs, how well it handles, and how it just gets up and goes in the flat-out fastest sprint you could possibly want. So let's talk about the climbing ability of the Tarmac. Now this bike is insanely light. This is a sub 900 gram frame in the S-Works, and we were able to take the stiffness to weight ratio up 19% over the previous generation, the SL3. But to pull that off, it's not easy to do. And the engineers spent an incredible amount of time looking at every fiber, every bit, every way to construct the frame. And what we have here is a new way to build the FACT IS frame. So the frame is actually constructed in 4 separate pieces. You have your top tube, head tube, and most of your down tube, a really unique one-piece BB chainstay, your seat tube, and then your seat stays in the back. And when you can build these pieces individually, you can build them for the weight, the stiffness, exactly what you need to do, and come out with the best product that's going to fly up the hills, but also be nice and stiff exactly where you need it. So this is the SL4 frame, super light and stiff. So the handling on the Tarmac is part of what makes this bike so much fun to ride. Very responsive, very snappy, comes to life right underneath you. And we're going to get that from 3 parts of the bike. First part is in the front end. The head tube angle, this is a pretty traditional style head tube angle, steep, agile, it's going to respond to your inputs. But if you look closer, you'll notice it's a tapered head tube, 1.1 to 1.3, leading into this big old beefy fork here. And that's going to give us a lot of stiffness, a lot of confidence when you're laying into those corners. Moving down towards the bottom of the bike, the bottom bracket is low. You're going to feel planted in those corners, but it's not so low that you're going to scrape your pedals when you're pedaling through the corners. So a lot of speed, a lot of confidence. And then when you move into the chainstays, short chainstays, going to be responsive, make the bike easy to accelerate and get up to speed. Very good flickable turning as well. So at the end of the ride, it's all about the sprint. You got to put this away, put a bow on it, come across the line in first place. And the Tarmac is constructed to do that. And there's a few places that we want to talk about how we get that done. The head tube here, this is a hyperbolic head tube. So it's kind of got this interesting shape to it where there's no flat edges. And what we're trying to do there is make it light on the top, but don't allow the carbon fibers to breathe and flex at all. Just make it super stiff and responsive. So when you're pulling on the handlebars and really just trying to get every ounce of power out of the bike, it's not going to move underneath you. Going down to this big old beefy down tube, it's going to be super stiff, and then into a really unique constructed one-piece bottom bracket chainstay. This is where the power transfer is all about. You want those 2 pieces together, no interruptions, big, stiff, light, put the power down. Tarmac's going to take you across the line. So 3 things I want to talk about on this Tarmac here that are super cool. One is the Revol Rapide CLX40 wheels. Just like the bike, these things are all about being lightweight and stiff, getting up to speed and going. So these are 40mm clincher carbon wheels with sealed ceramic bearings. Super nice. The crankset here, this is our S-Works FACT crankset. Very, very light and stiff, crazy light and stiff. Also really cool that it comes with standard gearing, that's 5339. But if that's not your style of gearing, you want to change it out, great, no problem. It has a removable spider. You can put whatever gearing on there is going to make you happiest. And the last piece, the one that's going to take us home, is the body geometry saddle. Doesn't matter how fast or slow you're going, you got to stay comfortable on the bike. You got to keep blood flowing where it needs to be flowing. That body geometry saddle is going to do exactly that. So that's the Tarmac, the all-around performance race bike. One of my favorite bikes to ride in the whole wide world.